blood once stained the white of his lab coat, and in that moment, time seemed to stop. Truong lay motionless, caught between life and death. Tunu knelt beside his hospital bed, her trembling hands clutching his, whispering through tears, "Please, don't leave me." But then something miraculous happened. His eyes opened. That faint, fragile gaze made her burst into tears, a mix of relief and fear. Yet the truth was far darker. The bullet wasn't random. It carried a secret one that could shatter everything. Who pulled the trigger? And why was Truong the one hit instead of Tunu? The answer will leave you breathless. If you want to uncover the truth behind that drop of blood, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Evening fell, and a pale gray sky cast a somber tone over the hospital. The last light of day faded down the long hallway, where the smell of antiseptic, the echo of doctors' footsteps, and the rattle of gurney wheels blended into a cold, lifeless rhythm. Yet it was the only place still holding on to his fragile breath. Truong lay there beneath a clean, white blanket, his face pale sweat beading on his forehead. The wound in his shoulder was already bandaged, but the scent of blood and medicine still lingered in the air. A single bullet, small but enough to make every heart around him stop in fear. "He's lucky," the doctor murmured a few centimeters closer, "and there'd be nothing we could do." Tunu sat by his bed, her trembling hand wrapped around his. It used to be warm and strong, but now it felt cold enough to break her heart. She didn't know how long she had been crying, only that every minute felt unbearably heavy. Each time the door opened, her chest tightened, bracing for news. Then the young doctor returned, his voice calm but carrying a quiet hope. His heart beat steady. "He's out of danger." In that instant, tears spilled down her cheeks. She broke into sobs, whispering through the shaking of her voice, "You're safe now. Thank God." Outside the window, the wind moved the curtains, letting in a faint light that fell across Truong's face. She brushed her fingers gently over his skin, that familiar warmth still there, reminding her that he was alive, still the man who once held her hand through every storm. For Tunu, the greatest fear wasn't darkness, it was losing him. He had always been the strong one, the one who protected her, who texted short, simple messages whenever he worked late. "I'll be home late. Get some sleep, okay?" Now with him lying motionless on that hospital bed, she finally understood what emptiness felt like when your entire world rests beneath a thin white sheet. The steady beep of the monitor filled the silence, his heartbeat, even and calm. She held his hand tighter and rested her head beside him. A nurse passed by, smiling softly. "He's going to be fine," she said. "You can relax now." Tunu tried to smile back, but it dissolved beneath her swollen eyes. Out in the corridor, she looked down at her own hands, still marked by the scent of medicine and blood. Closing her eyes, she saw again the image of that blood-stained white coat. How much did it hurt? She wondered when the bullet went through him. Was he scared? Not knowing if he'd make it, no one answered. Only the sound of the wind outside and the faint rhythm of his heartbeat inside, a quiet reminder that this love, fragile as it may be, still refused to die. A little later, Tunu returned to the room. Truong was awake. His eyes opened slowly, still hazy, but they found her. Just one look, and she broke down in tears. No words, only trembling hands holding each other in the quiet light of the hospital room. He tried to smile, his lips barely moving. He didn't need to speak. His eyes already said it all. I'm okay. The words never came out, but they echoed inside her like a miracle. The doctor walked in, checked his vitals, and nodded. Stable. He just needs rest. Try not to get him too emotional. Tunu bowed her head, her voice shaking as she thanked him. When everyone left, only the two of them remained. Rain tapped softly against the window, and the warm yellow light fell over his face. She wiped the sweat from his forehead, her heart full of questions she couldn't ask. Does it still hurt? Truong opened his eyes again, lifted his weak hand, and brushed her cheek, wiping away a tear that hadn't even fallen yet. In that moment, her heart shattered from both pain and relief. Memories came rushing back, the afternoons when he picked up little Dewey from school, the sound of their laughter filling the courtyard. The simple dinners where he always gave her the best piece. All of it came flooding in, mixing with the present, leaving her trembling with both gratitude and fear. If he hadn't woken up today, those memories would have stayed frozen in yesterday. He smiled faintly, tired but gentle. His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. Don't cry. I'm still here. She couldn't hold it in anymore. The tears came hard and fast, shaking her whole body. She buried her face against his shoulder, crying until his bandages grew damp. He winced in pain, but still managed to lift his arm, wrapping it around her. Outside, the rain kept falling. The dim light reflected two silent figures, one who had just returned from the edge of death, and one who had just found her faith again. As the night dragged on, Tunu stayed by his side, watching over his sleep. Every time he moved, she adjusted his blanket, brushed his hair, afraid that if she let go for even a second, he might disappear again. Around 3 a.m, he stirred awake. They looked at each other, no words, just understanding. Go back to sleep, she whispered. I'm right here. He nodded and squeezed her hand gently. No more words were needed. The white room filled only with the sound of his heartbeat, his breathing, and the rain outside. Tunu looked up at the ceiling and whispered softly, "Thank you for coming back to me." Truong didn't answer, but the corner of his lips curved into a small, weary smile, peaceful and real. And in that room, surrounded by the smell of medicine and the first light of dawn, their love quietly came back to life, not through promises, but through pain and tears.